The Modern format is spreading like an infection from game store to game store, so why not help spread the sickness with a little Modern INFECT? Modern INFECT is a fun deck that can be put together for around $50. It has many variants, from mono green to mono blue to blue green to black blue green. While not currently considered a tier 1 deck, it nonetheless has the ability to win fast, very fast, and it can be quite the surprise for an unsuspecting or unprepared opponent. Best of all, Modern INFECT is fun, a great example of how the Modern format can keep popular deck types playable for those who want them. Again, this is a budget build, and so you probably are not going to win a GP with INFECT, but if your goal is to break into the format for just a little cash, or you simply loved INFECT when it was in Standard and want to play the deck for fun in Modern, then this is the deck for you. Let's take a look. We'll start with a mono green strategy. The idea here is to drop a Glistener Elf or Ink Moth turn 1 and then pump it up. If your opponent doesn't have answers, or has the wrong answers, it can mean lights out for them as early as turn 3. But in this example, you can hit for 10 INFECT as early as turn 2. Obviously, this is with an ideal opening hand, and your opponent not having answers. But I think it demonstrates the pressure a Modern INFECT deck can put on your opponent from the start. Glistener Elf is the key to any INFECT deck, so much so that there was once rumblings of having it banned. That talk faded away as INFECT dropped in popularity and effectiveness. At only 25 cents each, they're easy to come by. A playset of Ink Moth Nexus is some of the only real cost that this deck has, and it is still only about $9 each. Since this was so recently in Standard, you might already have a few in your binder still, or at the very least will have very little difficulty trading for them. For mono green, we'll use Blight Mamba as another source of INFECT. Its ability to regenerate is most helpful in longer games. And Ickerclaw Mirror is very successful when going up against another deck with a lot of aggro on the ground. Now, we get to the pump spells. Giant Growth is both a classic and a must, as is Mutagenic Growth, which can be cast by paying with life. If you feel like paying a couple more dollars, a playset of Might of Old Krosa isn't that expensive at about $3 each, but I've always been fine with a playset of Titanic Growth. Apostle's Blessing is a must. It protects, and it also lets you punch through any creatures that might be blocking you. Having at least 2 Pendelhavens is a great land choice. Not too costly, and they come into play untapped and making green mana. Now, there's also a mono-blue version capitalizing on Blighted Agent, but I enjoy blue-green to get the best of both worlds. Now that you've got an infection force of Ink Moths, Glistener Elves, and Blighted Agents, this can be a real headache for your opponent. Blue also opens up a lot of possibilities, my personal favorite of which is a Distortion Strike. And now that we're in blue, a small control package can be added, again, flexible to your taste and your meta. Fetch lands are not needed, even if you go blue-green. Utilizing instead Pain lands and Shock lands and even City of Brass keeps you in whatever mana you need. Paying in life is fine, because our own life total is largely irrelevant if our main strategy is a fast, hopefully turn 3 win. Again, this is more of a fun, budget deck, meant to be fast and possibly a surprise for your opponent. But some really engaging and interesting games tend to arise when you go up against other Tier 2 decks floating around at your LGS. Which brings us to the real question of this video. Does the Modern format have room for non-competitive decks? This is a question I think we as a player base have yet to answer for the format, but I personally believe the answer is yes. In the end, Modern has a large variety of fun, effective, and powerful budget decks to offer. I hope this video has been helpful. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe so that I can keep making videos. And support your Magic community by buying your singles and other accessories at your local game store whenever possible.